Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Sri Mulyani and I will continue the material about CDA. Last week you already know about the 4 approaches of CDA, and today I want to share you about how to analyze text using CDA according to 4 frameworks. Alright, the first one is procedures to analyze text based on the Van Dijk approach. In Van Dijk approach, he combines 3 dimensions of discourse, including text, social cognition, and social context. How the structures of the text are used to give tendency to the particular themes are analyzed in the dimensions of the text. In the dimensions of social cognition, how the text of news is produced, which involves the individual cognitions of the reporter. For the next level, social context focuses on how the building of discourse about a problem which is developed in the society. Alright, the first dimension is analyzing the text. Van Dijk divided 3 levels of discourse structures. The first one is macrostructures, superstructures, and microstructures. The first one is macrostructures. Macrostructures is regarded as the global meaning which can be observed from the topic or theme of the text. Macrostructures relates to the global meaning of a discourse. And then the macrostructures also refers to the whole information discussed in the discourse. And then the next one is superstructures. Superstructures is systematic structures which represent the way part of the text is arranged, so that creates a coherent meaning. And then the next one is superstructures. Superstructures is systematic structures which represent the way part of the text is arranged, so that creates coherent meaning. Superstructures refers to the schema of the discourse which connect the macrostructures and microstructures involving introduction, content, as well as conclusion. The introduction refers to headline and paragraph leading to reasons why the discourse is taken into account to be noticed. It contains situational backgrounds and elaborations of several points going to be discussed in the discourse. And then development is a process that creates growth, a progress, a positive change, or the additional of physical, economic, environmental, social, and demographic component. And then the last one is conclusion. The conclusion involves a final comments as well as final statement from the overall discourse. Microstructures is the text meaning which can be observed through the selections of words, sentences, and style which are applied in a text. Microstructures refers to the meaning which are more specific and discourse focusing on the semantic relations between prepositions, syntactic, lexical, and other rhetorical elements. Microcontexts show the features of the immediate situations and interaction in which a communicative event occurs. Alright, the first one is semantic parts. Semantic parts focuses on the meaning which is going to intended to be expressed in the discourse. Relating to the semantic analysis, Van Dijk also emphasizes on the use of social power within a discourse as he concerns on how discourse might be used by symbolic elites in which it refers to participants of a group who absolutely have access and control discourse within society. Semantic is the meaning that delivered in the news text by giving details or reducing another details, and the element consists of background, detailed presuppositions, and nominalization. Background in the cognitive terms informs the necessary information for the readers to active situations model from memory, that is, and then representations of accumulated personal experiences and knowledge about concrete situation. And then details, it's about element links the information controls that is extended by the writers or journalists. The journalist will show the extracts information with complete details if the information has a good or valuable news for them. On the other hand, the journalist will present less information or even do not tell the information more if that information has a negative value for them. And then presupposition is a proposition which, although not formally stated, is understood and taken for granted in order for an utterance or a statement to make sense. Propositions are important in discourse analysis because they can point out to speakers or writers common sense assumptions. belief and attitudes that are taken as given. And the nominalizations means the derivations of a noun from a verb. For instance, the noun reductions is derived from the verb reduce, and obligations from obligate. The next one is syntactic part. It is about the sentences forming and compositions is used in the news text, and the element consists of sentence form, coherence, and reference. And the last one is lexical choice. It is about the word choices are used in the news text. And then the second dimension is analyzing the social cognition, including selection, reproductions, conclusion, and additional and formulation. And then the last dimension is about analyzing the social context, including ideology and membership. Ideology is about what is the ideology in this discourse. Ideologies are the ideas and belief system of particular groups of people defined from the multidisciplinary ways involving social, cognitive, and discursive aspects. And then membership. Membership is about who are we, who belongs to us, who can be admitted. In membership, including actions, aims, norms, and values, positions, and resources. And then the second one is procedures to analyze text based on Theo Leuweun approach. There are two procedures to analyze text based on Theo Leuweun approach. The first one is analyzing reset of exclusions, and then the second one is analyzing of inclusions. The first one is analysis of exclusions. Exclusions is divided into passivations, nominalizations, and substitutions of clauses. And for the example, you can see in PPT. Yeah. Then the second one is analysis of inclusions. The inclusions process is divided into indifferentiations and differentiations, and then objectivations and abstractions, and then nominations and categorizations, and determinations and indeterminations, and then the last one is assimilations and individualizations. And then the third one is procedures to analyze text based on Fairclough Approach. Fairclough's system of discourse analysis has three dimensions, since discourse is seen simultaneously as the first one is a text, spoken or written, including visual images, and then the second one is a discourse practice of productions, consumptions, and distributions of text, and then the last one is social culture practice. Fairclough provides a three-dimensional framework for the analysis of text and discourse. The first one is the linguistic descriptions of the formal properties of the text, and then the second one is the interpretations of the relationship between the discursive processes or interactions and the text, and finally the explanations of the relationship between discourse and social and cultural reality. According to Fairclough, there are some underlying assumptions behind certain selections of discourse. These assumptions are never value-free and innocent, rather they are ideologically driven and motivated. Therefore, discursive practices may have ideological effects, since they can produce and reproduce unequal power relations between social classes, gender groups, and ethnic and cultural majorities and minorities through the ways they represent things and positions people. From this point of view, Fairclough stated that the exercise of power in modern society is increasingly achieved through ideology. Drawing on the discourse power-ideology relationship, he introduced the concept of hegemony, which he defines as a way of theorizing change in relation to the evolutions of power relations, which allows a particular focus upon discursive change, and then but at the same time a way of seeing it as contributing to and being shaped by wider processes of change. For him, the political concept of hegemony can be usefully employed in analyzing orders of discourse. He then stated that an order of discourse is a network of social practices in its language aspect. The elements of orders of discourse are not things like nouns and sentences, including elements of linguistic structures, but also discourses, genders, and styles. He further contended that orders of discourse are not static, but might change over time. Changing the power relations in a social interaction determines these changes. Fairclough then asserts that how discourses are structured in a given order of discourse and how structuring change over time are determined by changing relationship of power at the level of the social institutions of the society. Power at these levels includes the capacity to control others of discourse. One aspect of such control is ideological, ensuring that orders of discourse are ideologically harmonized internally or at the societal level with each others. And then the last one is procedures to analyze text based on Wodak approach. I explained it last week that like Fairclough and Fairclough Approach, Wodak Discourse's historical approach views discourse as a form of a social practice, has focused on the interdisciplinary and eclectic nature of CDA, since problems in our society are too complex to be studied from a single point of view. Summarizing some important research against which are currently of interest in CDA. And then Wodak stated that identity of politics on all levels always entails the integrations of past experiences, present events, and future visions in many domains of our lives. This involves analyzing, understanding, and explaining the relationship between complex historical processes, hegemony narratives, and CDA approaches. For the analysis of the relationship between discursive and other social practices and structures, Wodak refers to the principle of trilingual. This principle implies different methods of collecting data because in CDA, there is no typical way of collecting data. Alright guys, that's all for the materials about how to analyze text using CDA. Thanks for your kind attention and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.